guys, welcome back to We Watch a Movie. I am Mike, hucking, chucking, fucking, sucking, touching football.
What's happening, my fellow ghouls and ghoulettes? Welcome to another episode of Cosplay Chris.
Ghouls and ghoulettes, I'm very honored to introduce to the channel Mike of We Watched a Movie. Welcome, my dear friend.
Thank you for having me, man. It's been a long time coming.
It has been a long time coming. Like, we did a video on Rob Zombie's movies a couple of years ago. I did that with you and Jay as like a little fun thing, and that was really good. I really dug that. But yeah, this has been a long time coming, man. So what's been happening? And just for people that don't know, but I think that's highly unlikely, what's your channel all about?
It's a shit show. But yeah, we do mostly, we switched to horror. I don't know if we switched to it. We were always kind of doing it, but like, I don't know, 2015 or something. We've been around for like 10 years. So we switched to horror. It naturally turned into mostly horror. We still do other stuff from time to time, but a lot of Halloween updates. Now, before everybody rolls your eyes at that, we were the first ones to do them. Okay, so give me a break. All right, we still do them, but I'm pretty sure we were the first ones to do them. So, because I know people were like, "Oh my god, another Halloween update channel." But no, we do a lot of Halloween stuff. Obviously, that's our main thing. But anything horror, we do skits and movie reviews, and we just have a good time doing live streams and partying, probably drinking too much, definitely cursing too much.
No, dude, not enough cursing. And that's what, like, the skits that you and Jay have done have honestly had me in stitches. I think, and I messaged you about it after the video came up. It was the one of, I think it was when Cobra Kai came out, and it was Michael versus Jason doing karate, and Jay's got you in the corner, and he's like, "You're here now. It's time to prove." And you start slapping each other. "Don't touch me." It's just, but it's brilliant. Like, it's so off the cuff, and like, just the unboxings as well. When you guys do unboxings as Michael and Loomis, it's so natural, and it's just so cool to see two mates just having fun. So I really respect that, and what you guys have built up over the years is brilliant. I've been watching since 2018. When Halloween 2018 came out, I've been watching you guys ever since. So it's great to see how much you guys have grown.
Yeah, thanks, man. And we've enjoyed watching you too. So I usually have a rule: I don't go on anybody's show if they're handsomer than me. But I'm breaking that tonight for the first time. I don't like doing that, but I'm doing it tonight for you. But no, man, we've always enjoyed your stuff. I remember, like, I'm a fan of Flick Pick too, and you sent in that gigantic Hulkbuster thing, and I was like, what the hell? And then I'm pretty sure it was around the same time you messaged us, and I was like, oh, that dude's, I know that guy. That guy's cool. So we love your content too, man. It's awesome. Please get older and not so handsome as fast as possible, please.
Oh, at least buy me dinner first, mate.
Take you to the Outback, eh? Okay, I'm done.
Oh, what is it? You guys still have Outback Steakhouse?
Oh, they're everywhere, dude. They're terrible too. They're not good at all, and they're overpriced. So,
oh man. All right. Well, today we're going to be doing our top 5 each effects gore kills in the Halloween franchise. And we had this chat, do we do 10 each or 5 each? I think doing 5 each kind of keeps it short, simple, and have a lot of fun with it. But when it came to like me trying to list it, I was like, oh fuck, 5. That's really hard to put into a list of 5. I don't know about you, but I like to think my top 5, I'm at peace with it and I'm happy with it. So I hope you're the same. But yeah, without further ado, man, if you want to get the ball rolling, what is your number 5?
Pain, by the way, absolute pain. Hated doing this. Just hated it. Like, trying to narrow it down to 5. And like, I'm used to doing these rankings, dude. You know that, but because we do them all the time on the channel. But this was so hard. It's like kicking your babies out of the house. It was easy for my parents, but anyways, no. My number 5 is going to be Sandra, Halloween Kills, the Lightbulb. Which I like to call Sandra Gets Lit. I'm a father. I can make those jokes. It's fine.
That's brilliant.
But no, yeah, dude, it's so simple. Like, I know, right? But to me, him breaking that thin glass and just breaking it the way he does, and when he puts it in her, no pun intended, when he does that, and
I downloaded the wrong Halloween movie.
Michael is very good at putting things in people, but he just the thought of that, like, the glass is so thin, the semantics of that, the physics of it, how would that work? Would some of the glass break first? You know what I mean? And then it just goes in so smooth, the way that they filmed it. And then not only that, but it goes in, and the blood splatter and the way it fills up the light a little bit and the way it's shooting out. And then he turns it on top of that. And it's just so mean. And I think that the best FX gags when it comes to horror are the kinds that make you think about how bad that would really fucking hurt. And that specifically, you know, with the thin glass and the breaking of it and the going in, it really made me think on my sins and also what that would feel like. So that's my number 5, man. Not a lot to it, but that had to be hard to figure out, right?
Well, that's the thing. There's not a lot to it, but I think that's why it works so well. And the psychological damage, the fact that she's still alive watching Phil being used as a pincushion by Michael in her dying moments. But also the sound design, like you said, when he turns it, you can hear all the tendrils snapping in her neck. And it was hard to watch. The first time I watched it for the first time with my 2 mates, and they're laughing, but I'm kind of like Rod and Todd Flanders when they watch Itchy and Scratchy for the first time. They're all pale, and it was just, it was psychologically fucked. I was like, whoa, that's heavy. But yeah, man, good one. So my my number 5 is Mr. Strode from Halloween 6, the theatrical version. So when Michael gets him and starts electrocuting him, he starts foaming at the mouth like that meme of Danny DeVito, you know, what's your daughter up to, when Netflix says, are you still watching? And in the theatrical version, his head explodes, which I think is so cool because it just goes from worse to worse to worse to worse. Obviously stabbed, he's impaled, Michael's holding him up, he's electrified, he's being electrocuted, and he starts essentially boiling from the inside out, and you see the stages of the makeup and then that brilliant head explosion.
And he just found his wife's body cut up in the dryer, right?
Right.
So it's just like there's the emotional and then the physical pain that follows afterwards.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So yeah, I think it's a very underrated kill. Like obviously there's a difference between the producer's cut and the theatrical cut. But I think that kill is a gem in a very messy movie. So I don't think it gets enough love, quite frankly. Look, Halloween 6 does have its moments, but also I just think that kill is such a nice little diamond in the rough, to be honest. But with that being said, man, what is your number 4?
I'm right there with you on that one, by the way. I think also the Spike kill was one of my honorable mentions. There's just not a lot to it FX wise. So I was trying to think of stuff that was like specifically difficult FX wise, but the Spike kill in the beginning when he puts the nurse on it and just sticks her to it, you know, that was just, you're like, this Michael, he may be a little chubby, but he's mean. You know what I mean? Like, it's letting you know this guy's here to fuck around. But no, my number 4, that's a great one, by the way. That was on my honorable mentions for sure. My number 4 is going to be Karen Bailey in the hot tub drowning a scene in Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2. You know, there's not a lot to it FX wise, but it's the way that they layered it to me. And it may be my favorite kill of the whole franchise, like brutal wise, grotesque wise, but FX wise, when he puts her head in the water, right, the boiling water, and if you guys who don't remember the American Pie Please Sit on My Face guy and her were about to bang in the boiler room of the hospital, and he's finally going to get lucky, and then Michael just goes in there and turns the water up hot as shit, kills him, and then goes in and dunks her the first time in the water. And I thought the gradual incline of that was so fucked up, because the first time her head goes in, she comes back up and she's just bright red, you know? And then the second time she goes in, she comes up and she's got some ooey gooeys on her face. Her face is just barely starting to boil a little bit. And I'm sure that was a pretty simple effect, but watching it, you can feel the pain that she must be going through. And then the third time he puts her in, you know, and she comes back up and she's actually, her skin is starting to slowly melt off. And you just think about, we've all had that tan, you know, at the beach. I'm sure you definitely have, you know, and then like it starts to peel and be gross. Just imagine that happening in a span of 30 seconds and be on your fucking face. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's my number 2. Again, not a lot to it, but it's just the escalation of it's what really gets me.
So dude, that's actually my number 4 too. Nurse
Nice.
Karen. Yes. The first time I watched that, I was 12, and yes, the progression. And when I first watched it, I'm like, oh, he's just gonna drown her. That's boring. But each time, like you said, she comes up, the makeup progresses more, and she looks like, you know, those bags you put on your feet and it detoxes your feet, and it makes all your feet peel. She looks. She looks like one of them with each time, and it's hard to watch. Like Sandra, it's hard to watch. It is funny though how Michael's hand stays intact the whole time. Can you imagine like if they had have made his hand melt as well, and like his you know, towards the end of the film, he's like got the half melted hand, but obviously like it's kind of, you just got to quickly shoot it, get the hell out. But yeah, it's brutal. Yeah. And also I like the simplicity, honorable mention now that we're talking about Nurse Karen, of Bud's death. It's just so silent, it's in the background, and then it's time to get to work with Nurse Karen. And it's kind of that weirdness where the hand's on the shoulder and she sucks his finger, and I just think of Jay, you'll taste like boopy.
Yeah, dude, you know his fingers do not taste good. And she didn't even know. So that makes me question the other dude too. She was just like, yeah, this finger always tastes like blood and semen, or whatever the hell you think Michael's fingers taste like. It can't be good, right? But yeah, Michael toyed with her a little. That was the fucked up thing. He let her suck on his finger. And you know, in his mask, he was going,
you know, he's just got this big shit-eating grin on his face under the mask.
The same way that when he's dipping her head, he's probably like, ah, fuck, all right, I'll give you a break. Because you know he feels at least a little bit of pain, right? I mean, he responds to getting shot and shit, so he had to feel that just a touch.
Yeah, exactly. No pun intended. All right, man. What is your number 3?
I'm gonna go with. This is gonna make me seem like a homer, which is not the correct word for this, but a lot of people are gonna accuse me of just like, dude, you just love Christopher Nelson. So I can't believe, you know, you have him on your list twice, but it's fair, man. There were so many kills and in 2018, and I actually had to fight myself to take stuff out of this, like the dude in the gas station with the jaw just wide open. There were so many things that he did. But I do have another Christopher Nelson FX gag, and that was Oscar in Halloween 2018, and I call it the neck drip, you know, because he stabs him in the back, puts him on that gated fence, and it's a thick fucking fence too, you know, it's like the square with the tip and the whole thing, and he hangs him on it, and then not only does he stab him, and then Oscar's like, and it's right here, you know, so you think something that big going right here, and then he slowly slides down it, and you hear it. And he's a pretty big dude, so he's just hanging there, you know, after eating fucking guacamole all night, and he's hanging off that thing, you know, and somehow his chin's not completely ripping off, but just the way that they film that and it's put that in there,
like that.
Yeah, like the semantics of all that. Again, the physics of it. Would this work? The thoughts that had to go behind that, and then again, and in Kills, they showed his body too, and it showed how all the shit they had to do there. So yeah, that was mine, man. That not only is it an extremely painful way to die, but FX wise, that had to be a hard gag to make, you know?
Absolutely, man. I agree. It's so much so that is my number 3. So
shit, dude.
Fuck. So much variety.
No, you hang up.
No,
you hang up.
Stop it. Yeah, dude. I think again, like with Sandra, the scene surrounding it is so well done at the Elrod's place with the sensor motion lights, and Michael's getting closer and closer, and obviously there's that shot where bang, he gets Oscar, tries to get away, and then mounts him on that damn fence, and it looks painful, and like you said, how his jaw is hanging on, I don't know. The jaw must be very strong in the Halloween world, but also afterwards we get that great score of The Shape hunts Allison, where, you know, she sees Michael for the first time and she realizes he's real. The boogeyman is real. The grandma's not full of shit. And I think it just hits so hard. But also the fact when Michael appears, you got Oscar just hanging there. And it's a lot to take in. But when watching that in 2018, I'm like, oh, wow, this is like a good return to form. Like, this is what I wanted. It's Michael stalking. It's Michael being in the shadows, like a phantom, and then a brutal kill, and then a brutal reveal as well. And like you said, we saw him at the beginning of Halloween Kills, and that sound effect of the blood dripping out of his throat and out of his neck when you've got the voiceover of Cameron trying to find Oscar, and it's great, man. It's a great old school horror kill to me. It's something you'd see in the 80s.
And then I love the way that he walks out too. It's so funny because when Allison sees him, she's standing there and she's like, what are you doing now? And then she sees him dangling there and she's like, oh shit. And then Michael just pops out. He's like, hey, what's up? I did that. You know what I mean? Like, he's just got
Is it me you're looking for?
Yeah, exactly. Hello.
Alrighty, we're honing in. So number 2 for you, sir.
Yeah. Let's see if we keep this relationship going here. This was hard, dude, because there's 2 face stomps. I did not go with Nelson on this one. It was great. It was amazing when Nelson stomped, not Nelson, but when Nelson Myers stomped Sartain's head in 2018. But I ended up going, and I hate to put a Rob Zombie Halloween 2 kill this high, but we are talking just about special effects, right? So my number 2 is going to be Howard Boggs, and I call this the Dave Grohl face stomp, because the guy looks just like Dave Grohl, right? You know what I mean? And he comes out there, he's taking out the trash at the strip club, and he's all pissed off, and he's like, fucking, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then Hobo Meyer shows up, and he's like, man, look. And you know he's scared, because, like, you know, Michael's huge, but he's like, he's trying to act cool. He's like, I heard you had to send one jag off to the emergency room tonight. And you know Michael's not believing this shit. And even if he did, he wouldn't be scared. But Michael picks him up, slams him down Undertaker style. And then the face stomp, when he stomps him, it's like a layered fucking awesomeness, because the sound of the guy's face caving in mixed with the look of Michael's boot hitting his face, and his face, you watch it like crunch in like a fucking pinata, you know? And it's so gnarly. And not only do you get that, the several stomps of Hobo Meyer's foot into Dave Grohl's face, but then like a couple scenes later, you see the remains of it hanging by the Christmas lights inside of the strip club, and it's like hamburger meat, and it's just like it looks all like something from The Thing, you know, and it's all like just, it looks like in Terminator when, you know, the guy, his face was like trying to reformulate itself, only actual blood and guts. It was so cool. Like, so yeah, that was it for me. And again, I really hate to put Rob Zombie in there, but you gotta give credit where it's due, I guess.
Oh, 100%, man. But like you said, we are talking about gore effects kills, and especially like at the beginning of Halloween 2 with
Octavia Spencer.
Yeah. See, that's brutal. Like that, like, it's a brutal film, and that kill is brutal as well. That face stomp, like, again, sound mixing, the visuals, like the crunch, everything. So yeah, like I get it, man, 100%. So honing in on my top 2 was really hard. I'm going to give an honorable mention before I say my number 1, but my number 2 is Jimmy from Halloween H2O, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, with the ice skate through the face.
That was in my honorable mentions too.
H2O was my first time watching a Halloween film, and it was like that whole hype, because Scream had just come out, and obviously, like Dave McRae says, it is very Dawson's Creek and stuff like that. But I remember staying up late. My dad had taped H2O, and he only taped half of it, like he did with Freddy's Dead, because he just figured it's just too brutal for me to watch, my little pea brain head. And watching that opening scene with Nurse Marion and Jimmy and his mate, and she coming in and finding that ice skate through the face, I'm like, holy shit. Even though you don't see it, like, there's a lot of great kills that are off screen, like especially in 2018, like you said, with the broken jaw in the mechanic shop and stuff like that. But I think it's just so simple, and it's so old school, that kind of, you know, like the hatchet in the head that you'd see in Friday the 13th and stuff like that. I just think it was so cool. And the fact the chair's still rocking, it's so cool.
That is true. It is still rocking. I don't think I've ever truly paid attention to that, but that's true.
But with that being said, what's your number 1?
Oh shit, we're already at number 1. Damn, we are. That went fast. That was one that was in my honorable mentions, by the way. It's a great freaking choice. Like I said, even though you don't see it, it's one of Michael's more inventive kills. You know what I mean? Like the ice skate is genius. I love it. But my number 1 is going to be Halloween 3, and it's going to be Marge Gutman, the face blast. And so this scene is it's the whole scene. It's everything. It's the special effects particularly, but this lady is sitting around in her bed, right? And she's finger fucking this silver shamrock mask and messing with it, right? And then this blue lightsaber light just blows out of it, and she literally looks like she is blowing a lightsaber, you know, like the way it like blasts into her mouth, right? And then I'm like, this is the most confusing boner I've ever had, like, you know. But then the next
Lock me down as scared and horny.
Yeah, exactly. It's my favorite place to be. But right after that, it's dude, it's just so crazy that happens. And then maybe my favorite part of the scene is actually the noise happens, and then they pan back to a couple hotel rooms over, and Chalice is sleeping with the daughter of the guy whose death he's investigating, yes. Right? But he's like knee deep in her titties at this point, and he's just like, you know, going crazy. And she's like, "What was that?" He was like, "I don't even care." And he just goes right back to motorboating her. And then we flash back to Ms. Gutman, and her face is so fucked, man. I mean, it looks like she sucked off a dragon. And I'm sorry, this is very crude the way I'm explaining this, but like her entire lips are blown off, right? Her teeth, like if you look at her teeth in that scene, her teeth are literally like nubbed down, like it blew her teeth out. And her eyes are like orange and red, and just that her gums are showing because her mouth has been blown off,
Yes.
and it's so gnarly. And then on top of that, as if to just like put a cigarette out on our tongues, a fucking bug just walks out of her goddamn, I don't even know what kind of bug that was. It was like a bee.
I forgot that.
Oh, it's disgusting. And it crawls like through her her old ass hair like in the back. And I was just like, man, this is fucked up. And there was a couple kills in 3 that, like, I guess special effects wise it doesn't count, but like when the kids, he's wearing the mask and the snakes and the bugs start rolling out, there's some really messed up deaths, and and one more honorable mention from 3, when the dude's in the hospital, and I really wanted to include this because it was so cool. It just, like I said, it was so hard to make this list. When the droid comes in and he's like and he puts his fingers in his eyes, right, and then he pulls it and you see the guy's nose like move, and he's just like, oh, that was gnarly. That was so gnarly. But yeah, it's Marge Gutman from Halloween 3.
Nice one, man. That's a good choice. And like Halloween 3 has a nice showcase of effects, like especially the kid with the pumpkin head on with the snakes and all that coming out. It's brutal, and the fact that it's a kid is even more brutal. I was like, wow, they actually went there. That's heavy. But
if you hate snakes, it's hard to watch, man.
It's but anything with bugs around mouths, and it's like Tina in Elm Street with the centipede. So before my number 1, I want to give an honorable mention to Sir Christopher Nelson with the jack-o'-lantern head. That was originally going to be my number 1. I think it's so, like, can you imagine if they filmed Michael doing that? It would probably get an X rating. But obviously a lot of people make a good point. Dave McRae made a good point. You don't need to see Michael's process just to see where he got to. You don't necessarily need to see everything. Mind you, can you imagine the effects, like the stages of effects to get to the final jack-o'-lantern head of Officer Francis? It would just be disgusting.
That's a great, and that was in one of my honorable mentions too. It's like, but I thought the same thing. I was like, I need to see it. I need to know. And you're right. Like, they don't have to do it, but it would be so 2003 Leatherface Texas Chainsaw Massacre to show Michael doing that. Probably would have been too much, but yeah, I'd probably still have watched it.
So with that being said, my number 1, I'm gonna group them together because I see it as one big effects gag is Phil and Sandra from Halloween Kills. I think, like we said, because Sandra was your number 5, I think there's something so psychologically damaging about a couple who seem very in love, having a nice little date night, and they both are brutalized. Phil's kill is fucking hard to watch, but before I get to that, I love the build up with the drone, and I love Phil's reaction, how he's like, Sandra, there's a big fella in the bathroom, he's wearing a monster mask, and it's just like, you start laughing, and then all of a sudden Michael's hand smashes through the door, grabs Phil, smashes his head on the glass shard, and the gurgling and the choking on his own blood. He's on the ground and he's screaming to his wife. And I don't know if you've ever had those intrusive thoughts where you might put yourself and your wife in that situation watching the movie. Like, can you imagine if that happened to us? And you're like, I imagine that if that happened to Chloe and I, and I'm like, that makes me feel sick and ill. And the fact that in Sandra's last dying moments after getting the fluorescent bulb through the throat, she's got to watch Phil, like I said to you before, become a pincushion with Michael testing out a bunch of new knives to use on the night. Everything around it is so brutal, whether it's the psychological aspect or the physical aspect of the kill. It was also I was umming and ahhing with the firefighter scene, but I think because we don't get to know the firefighters, and that's nothing to take away from them, because obviously they got all their equipment on, you don't see really the personality with any of them, but with Phil and Sandra. And it's a nice little Easter egg that she was in 2018 as the groundskeeper in the cemetery. I thought that was very cool. But you see a couple that are having date night, and I'm like, oh man, that's hard. And it was like with Big John and Little John, they're having their date night. They're a couple who are very in love. And look what happened to them.
And that was one of my honorable mentions too. When you go back to Big John, not only did he get a knife, and it's hard because when you're doing this, like, you can't help but for your mind to go to what the most painful death or the most gruesome death it was and stuff like that. And I was thinking about that. I was like, no, you got to remember, Mike, it's it's the effects or whatever. But like Big John, not only does he get it in the armpit, like being stabbed in the armpit is not something I ever thought I'd have to think about. You know what I mean? Like,
neither.
But holy shit, have you ever been tickled in your armpit? It's a nightmare. You know, being stabbed in your armpit would be a disaster. So not only is he stabbed, and then he has his eyes gouged out, and they had that extra little effect. And I think it may have just been in the alternate cut. I'm not 100% sure. But when Michael squeezes his eyes out, that extra little goop that comes out of the side, and you see the eyeball kind of pop out, it was like, holy shit, man. Yeah. That was messed up. Extremely.
Anything that involves oozing and just whichever orifice it's from, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
But dude, okay, so those are our top 5 gore effects kills. Before we wrap it up, dude, how are you feeling right now about Halloween Ends? Where is your mind at right now? Because holy shit, a lot's happening right now and a lot's coming out. I was going to do a video the other day about that BTS footage that came out. What are your thoughts right now?
I am a kite in the wind when it comes to Halloween Ends, dude. I'm so, like, it was so different for me for Halloween Kills, right? Halloween Kills, the things that we were hearing, John Carpenter, who was always like, fuck you, I don't care, coming out and being like, this movie's the quintessential slasher. I was like, this is going to be a fucking 10. Like, there's no doubt. Like, and the things you were hearing and everything. And I still enjoyed Halloween Kills, you know, like but I totally sympathize and see the problems with the movie and the dialogue and the problems everybody else has. I still like it because I think it's a really cool slasher movie. But the reason I bring up Halloween Kills is like expectations, which is what we're talking about. And Halloween Ends is the first one that my expectations are just kind of out the window. I think I'm dreading the fact that I know no matter what happens, there's going to be a large group of people who are going to hate this movie. Just because it's happened with both the other movies. I was at a bowling alley one night and some guy was like, Halloween Kills fucking sucks. I'm like, dude, I didn't write the movie. You know what I mean? Yeah, like it's like just because, you know, we're like you, we try to be positive as possible when it comes to stuff. But like I dread that because I know they're not trying to people please. But on the other hand of that situation, I'm like, I like that they're not trying to people please. I know that I'm going to go in and I'm not going to get exactly what a fan would write. I'm going to get something that's a little bit risky and a little bit out there. And it's 50-50 to me, whether or not it works and whether or not it's like, oh shit, this is something new and cool and different. And it actually works for me. But I think there's something to be said for the fact that we have to remember we're no longer canonized. We just had Robert Zappia. We didn't have him on the show yet. It's going to come out in October, but we interviewed the writer for H2O. Who
no shit, dude. That's amazing. Dude, seen him in that documentary about H2O. He seems like a really cool guy.
He was so nice and he was so giving with information and stuff like that. It was a really fun interview. But like talking to him, it was weird because it was like, man, you were the guy who was tasked with ending this. You know what I mean? Like this was, and now like, what's it like to watch someone else be and you got Lori back and everything. So I think the difference between H2O and this is back in H2O, everything was canonized. So if you're going to end it, you got all this pressure on you to end it and you have to do it right. You have to send Michael off, even though they didn't. You have to send Michael off with this perfect situation. With this, people are really upset about the copycat. And I get it because I feel like we should see Allison really fleshed out, and bringing in a new character at the forefront seems strange. I totally understand where people are coming from. But at the same time, I'm like, this is not the end of Halloween, though. Like, this is the end of their story. And let's see them do something fucking weird. I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? Because it's not like we live back when we lived before. This franchise isn't Chucky, whereas if they do something weird, we have to stick with it. They can try something weird, and then in 3 or 4 years, they can just completely disregard that because that's just with the requels. It's the time we live in. So that is like a way long-winded answer to your question, but I guess what I'm saying is I have no idea what to expect, and I kind of like that. I'm scared a little bit, but I'm very excited too to know that I'm going into something where I don't know how I'm going to feel when I walk out of it, and I probably haven't felt that way since at least, well, I guess I felt that way in 2018, but I really haven't felt that way since Rob Zombie's Halloween, you know?
100%, dude. I don't know how to feel, but I'm excited because it's a Halloween film. It's an event. I love how into it, you know, you and Jay, you've got Dave McRae, you've got Jimmy Champagne, you've got Wolfman's got Nas. I love the community aspect, getting into it, and we're just big kids at heart. I think with everything that's been coming out, especially with Corey and stuff like that, at first it was a bit jarring. I'm like, oh man. But now I'm at peace with it, and I would like to be wowed with something different. So I am ready for something different. I hope to God that this film is different, but everyone's like, that was so well done and they had the balls to do X, Y, and Z. and just wrap it up. Just put that nice little bloodstained bow on it and call it a day. I think that's just what they need to do. And then do the anthology route, whether that's redoing Season of the Witch or just writing new anthology stories, you know, Halloween Presents. But especially with that behind the scenes footage, I was kind of like, okay, this is cool. I really do like Rowan Campbell, who's playing Corey Cunningham. I really have taken a liking to him. He seems like a really cool guy and a pretty good actor. So I'm interested to see that transition of his character into darkness or whatever's going to happen. And I think and hope it's something special. But at this point, man, like, just, you got to leave your expectations by the wayside. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I think that way you don't set yourself up for disappointment, and just have fun with it, to be honest.
How many times have you seen a perfect show like that you loved and adored, or Breaking Bad, Sopranos, whatever? It's very rare when you get to that last episode, the second you click off the TV, where you go, that was everything. I'm completely satisfied. And I walk away with no problems whatsoever. Even if you end up liking it in the end, that night when you're done watching it and you turn it off, you're like, there's like a uneasiness in you because you know it's the end, you know? Like, I felt that even Breaking Bad is probably the best of those examples. Sopranos pissed people off. But I just think something about it being the final chapter, like The Dark Knight Rises, it really ups the ante and ups the expectation in people. And I'm dreading, I guess, the discourse over it all.
Yeah, I think is like, obviously you shouldn't just don't take it to heart. It's people's opinions. And if someone has a problem with your opinion, well, then that's their problem. You're like, well, you know, we're talking about the most subjective thing in the world. It's film. So it's an opinion, man. They're like arseholes. Everyone's got one. So it's
absolutely. I have two.
But I think this is going to be a really this fun event. And, you know, so my partner Chloe, she's not a horror movie fan, but she understands it. She respects the genre, especially because, you know, I do it for a living with these guys and stuff like that. And usually when I go to like horror movie premieres, like I went to Bodies last week. Next week we've got Smile. She's always like, oh, take one of your friends. It's not for me. But she's like, I want to be there for the Halloween Ends premiere for you as well. I want to see, just, I think because when I'm working on stuff, she says you're at your best. You're in your element, and it's so nice to see. And she wants to be there for it. And she goes, I don't give a fuck that it's a horror film. I want to see it. I want to experience it. I want to experience it with you. So you know it's going to be in an event when Chloe's like, yeah, I'm keen.
For sure. And it's a big deal, man. Like, I remember when 2018 came out, it was weird for me because, again, we'd been talking Halloween for years, and at that point it wasn't a huge thing. It wasn't at the forefront of everybody's mind. The Halloween fan base has always been crazy, but at that point the general public, it wasn't on their minds. And then when 2018 is coming out, I'm at the grocery store and I'm hearing people bagging groceries like, see that new Halloween movie? Either it sucked or whatever. Like, it seemed like everybody was talking about it. It was so at the forefront of the public's mind, and it was cool. And it's going to be a huge thing for people when it ends. You know, ends.
Yeah, ends. It definitely will be, man. People are going to take away different parts of the film in a good way and a bad way, but it's just nice to have these conversations with like-minded people, and that's what I love. It's the hype train, and then it's the experience, and then when it all dies down, we'll do it all again when they revive it and possibly do the anthologies or whatever. Dude, this has been absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. I know you and Jay get very busy, but I do appreciate this. This has been a very long time coming because you and I have been friends for a good couple of years now. So this has been a lot of fun. For those who aren't following you, which I highly doubt, where can they find you and Jay on socials and all that?
We watched a movie anywhere, Twitter, TikTok. We're doing the TikTok thing. I promise we're not dancing.
Damn it.
Or doing anything like that. Yeah, I think I did do like was it a WAP song or something? But it was as Michael Myers. You know what? Don't worry about that. Forget I said it. But yeah, dude, I'm honored to be on your show, man. I love what you do, and you're a talented bitch. So it's an honor to be here, and it's always fun talking to you, man.
Oh, dude, I appreciate that. And I don't mean to get sappy, but yeah, the stuff that you and Jay have done have been great entertainment and have been a good distraction for a few ups and downs, you know, over the last couple of years. But, you know, it's just what makes you guys special. The pair of you have something very special, and I can't wait to see where you guys are in another 5 years' time.
Well, hopefully we will be alive. We're going to be alive. No, sure, right?
Yeah.
Right? You promise?
Right. Yes.
You swear?
Swear. I'll be right back. All right, ghouls and ghoulettes, thank you so much for watching. Wherever you're on the world, please have yourselves an absolute cracker of a day. Hope you're well. Hope you're happy. Be merry. Be silly. And until next time, ghouls and ghoulettes, Mike, take it away.
I was not ready for that at all. I was just sitting here. I totally fucked that up, man.
I love putting people on the spot. I put Jimmy Champagne on the spot and he shit himself.
Oh yeah, I totally shit myself on that one. Well, it's like, I feel like I went too far with the Aussie accent last time. So I'm like, do I do it again? It's like, cosplayers do it best.
Yes, that's it, man.
You fuck.